The planet was dead. Cold winds moved across broken rocks. Large metal ruins stood half buried in the dust, their shape twisted from age and war. This place once belonged to an ancient alien race, now long gone. No one lived here. No one even came here, except humans. Commander Rian Hale stood on a metal platform, staring into the dark hole of a ruined temple. His boots made a soft sound on the floor as he moved forward, flashlight in hand. Behind him, 2 soldiers followed, holding scanners. "This temple is older than anything I've seen," one soldier whispered. Rian didn't reply. He felt something strange. Not fear, but a pull, like something deep inside was calling him. They stepped into the darkness. Inside, the ruins' strange symbols covered the walls. The air was cold. The sound of wind was gone. All they heard now was the quiet buzz of equipment and the soft hum of their suits. Suddenly, Rian's scanner blinked. "Sir," the second soldier said, voice sharp, "I'm getting a life signal." Rian turned quickly. "Here?" The soldier nodded. "Faint, but it's real, not a glitch." Rian moved fast, turning down a hallway that led deeper underground. The walls curved like the inside of a giant machine. The symbols glowed faintly now, blue, soft, almost a live dot. Then they found her dot in the middle of a round chamber. Lying in a small bed of crystal light was a girl. Not human dot. She looked young, maybe 18 in human years, but her skin was a soft lavender color, and her hair was silver white. She wore a smooth bodysuit with glowing lines running across her chest and arms. Her eyes were closed. She was breathing. Rian walked closer, slowly. "She's alive," he said Dot as he knelt beside her. Her lips moved. A whisper escaped. "Dot, Dot, R-I-N." He froze. What did she say? One soldier asked, but Rian couldn't answer. His name. She had said his name. But how? He had never seen her before. He didn't know her, but somehow she knew him. The girl's hand reached up weakly, touching his chest plate. Her fingers glowed slightly as they touched the metal. Her eyes opened just a little bright teal. Glowing softly, she looked into his eyes and fainted. Back at the temporary base camp, the girl was placed inside a medical pod. The human doctor scanned her, confused by her biology. "No species record matches," the medic said. "Her cells are strange, like they're half energy." "She's not like the others we've met," Rian said. "Commander," the medic continued, "her brainwaves are syncing with yours." "What?" "I don't know how to explain it, but when you're near her, her brain activity rises. It's like her mind is reaching out to yours." Rian stared at the screen. This wasn't just an alien girl from a dead city. Dot. This was something else. He sat beside the pod and looked at her again. Even asleep, she looked peaceful, but something heavy hung in the air, like sorrow, like warning. Why had she whispered his name? Who was she? And what had she seen? Later that night, Rian couldn't sleep. He stood outside the camp, staring at the night sky. Stars blinked in the cold black above. His head was full of questions. Then suddenly his vision blurred. A flash. Vision. Not a dream, more like a memory, but not his. He saw fire, screams, cities breaking apart, ships falling from the sky. He saw himself older, harder, standing on a mountain of ash, leading an army with eyes like steel. People chanted his name like he was a god or a destroyer. He gasped and fell to one knee. The vision was gone, but the fear stayed. What was that? He whispered. Behind him, the medical tent lights flickered. Inside, the girl stirred. She moved in her sleep, whispering again. Rian. Something had connected them. She wasn't just from another planet. She was from another time. And whatever she had seen, it was his future. Commander Rian Hall sat alone in the medical tent, his hands shaking slightly. The vision from last night still burned. In his mind fire, death, war. He saw himself leading it, not as a hero, but as something terrifying. But it wasn't real, was it? Beside him, the alien girl lay silently in the medical pod. Her body glowed faintly, and her chest rose and fell gently. Monitors beeped quietly around her. The doctors had done everything they could, but she remained unconscious. Rian leaned closer. He studied her face, young, calm, peaceful. But under that peace, he felt something else. A warning. Suddenly, the medical AI spoke. Commander Hall A. Subject's neural activity has increased by 6%. Her brain is responding to your presence. Rian raised an eyebrow. What does that mean? It means she recognizes you, even while unconscious. He took a deep breath. She said my name before she passed out. Now I'm seeing things I never lived. Visions of war. Fire. A future where He stopped. He didn't want to say it. You saw memories, Commander, the AI said, but not your own. That made Rian stand. How is that possible? Unknown. But her brain appears to be connected to yours. A mind link. Later, Rian stepped outside the tent. The wind was dry, and the alien sky above was pale blue. 2 suns hung low on the horizon. The ruins in the distance looked even more ancient in the sunlight. His second in command, Lieutenant Mara, approached. You okay, sir? You look like you saw a ghost. Rian didn't answer right away. I think I did, he said finally, but not from the past. From the future. He explained the vision, the burning planets, the armies. His older self cold, unstoppable. And the worst part, he said quietly, was that I didn't feel evil in that future. I felt right. Like I believed it was the only way. Mara's face turned serious. Do you think she's warning us? Rian nodded. I think she came back. To stop me. Or maybe to save me. That night, Rian couldn't sleep again. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw pieces of that future. People shouting his name like a weapon. Alien cities falling. Children crying in the ruins. And always at the center himself, in black. Armor, his eyes cold like a machine. He sat up, breathing heavily. Then he heard a soft sound, a whisper. R-I-A-N. He turned. The girl was awake. He rushed into the medbay. The lights flickered. Her pod's glass had opened. She sat up slowly, glowing softly in the dark. Their eyes met. Rian stepped closer. You're awake? She nodded weakly. Her voice was soft and full of sadness. I didn't think I'd reach you in time. He knelt beside her. Who are you? He asked. And how do you know my name? She looked at him, eyes glowing faintly. My name is Illyra. I'm from a different timeline. He froze. What? She touched his hand gently. You become something terrible, Rian. A destroyer of stars. A warlord. I saw it. I lived through it. And I was the one who tried to stop you. He felt his heart drop. That can't be me, he whispered. Illyra's eyes filled with tears. It wasn't, at first. She looked down. But the war, the betrayal, the pain, it changed you. She began to tremble. I came back to stop that future, to change it before it begins. But it's harder now. I'm weaker. This world is different. Rian stared at her, his thoughts spinning. You fainted after saying my name. Why? She looked into his eyes, voice shaking. Because in that timeline, you were the last person I saw before I died. Rian stood there, stunned. This wasn't just an alien girl. This was a survivor from a timeline where he lost himself and burned the galaxy. And now she had come back to change his path. To stop the man he hadn't become yet. Commander Rian Hall stood in the middle of the hologram chamber, facing the glowing image of the United Human Council. The 12 counselors sat in a circle, high-ranking officials, military leaders, and science ministers. Their expressions were cold and unreadable. Behind Rian, Alira waited silently. Her violet skin shimmered under the lights. She wore a simple medical cloak, her glowing teal eyes tired but alert. Counselor Varric, the defense minister, leaned forward. "You're telling us," he said slowly, "that this girl is from another timeline, and she saw you destroy the galaxy?" Rian nodded. "Yes, sir." Another counselor scoffed. "And she just landed in your arms?" Rian kept his voice steady. "She didn't land. She was buried in ancient ruins, sealed inside a chamber built by a species we haven't even classified. Yet, we found her. She said my name before collapsing. And the visions I've had since then, they match what she saw." Counselor Elra, from the Science Division, shook her head. "There's no evidence of multiverse travel. No data, no readings, just stories." Alira stepped forward. "I use technology not from this time. You wouldn't understand it yet," she said softly. "I didn't come here to convince you. I came here to stop him before it's too late." Her voice trembled as she looked at Rian. Counselor Varric narrowed his eyes. "You admit you're interfering with our timeline?" Alira nodded. "I've already changed it. I spoke to him." The chamber fell silent. Finally, Counselor Varric turned to the others. "She's a risk. We don't know who she really is. She could be an alien spy, a weapon, a plant." Rian took a step forward. "She's not a threat. She saved me from something I haven't become yet. She's not the problem, she's the warning." Counselor Juno replied sharply. "And how do we know you're not the threat, Commander?" Rian clenched his fists. "I don't know what I'll become, but I know what I am right now. And right now, I'm trying to stop a future we can't afford." Hours later, back at the base, Rian sat with Alira in the communication room. The decision from the council had just come through. A full recall order. Alira was to be taken into containment. No further investigation. No discussion. Just silence. "They're afraid," Alira said softly. Rian nodded. "They don't want the truth. They want control." He looked at the message again. "Effective immediately. Alien subject A23 shall be transferred to Lunar Containment Vault. Commander, Halley's relieved of field duty until further notice." Alira's voice cracked. "They're going to erase me." Rian stood. "Not if I stop them." That night, while the rest of the camp slept, Rian packed supplies. Quietly, efficiently. He placed a pulse pistol at his side and loaded 2 sealed vials into a case. Alira watched him from the shadows. "You're serious?" she whispered. He nodded. "They don't want to believe you, but I do." He looked into her eyes. "You showed me a future I don't want. That means I have a choice. I can't let them bury this. I won't." She stepped closer, touched his hand gently. "You don't have to run for me." Rian smiled softly. "I'm not running for you. I'm running with you." Suddenly, alarm blares. Emergency code. Radar robotic voice echoed through the base. "Unauthorized communication detected. All units, prepare for lockdown. Containment team en route." Rian turned to Alira. "They're already here." Outside, small black ships landed quietly in the sand. Soldiers in dark armor stepped out. No names, no insignias. Just masks and weapons. Alira looked at Rian. "They won't listen." "I know," he said, pulling her close. "We don't need them to." As the soldiers closed in, the pair vanished into the ruins, not to escape, but to rewrite what came next. The night wind blew across the ruins, dry and sharp, Commander Rian Hale moved fast through the narrow stone paths, guiding Alira by the hand. Her steps were weak but steady. The glowing ruins around them lit their way with faint blue pulses, like veins under skin not above. Black council drones flew silently, scanning for movement. They were being hunted. They reached an old chamber, half buried under dust and vines. Rian sealed the entrance with a metal door and covered it with debris. Inside, it was dark and cold, but quiet, safe. For now, Alira sat down slowly, her back against a cracked pillar. She looked tired, too tired for someone so young. "You didn't have to do this," she whispered. Rian crouched beside her. "Yes, I did. You disobeyed your leaders. I don't care." She stared at him, confused. "Why?" He looked her in the eyes. "Because the man you saw in that future, the destroyer, that wasn't me. Not yet, but if I stay in there system, follow their orders without question, I might become him." Elira's eyes softened. A small tear rolled down her cheek. "I didn't come here to change the world, Rian," she said. "I came to change you." A moment of silence passed between them. The weight of fate, choices, and future horrors filled the air. Alira placed her hand on her chest. A soft light glowed beneath her skin. "My memory link is still damaged," she said quietly, "but I can show you more. I can open the rest if you want to see." Rian hesitated. "What happens if I do?" "You'll see what I saw," she said. "Everything. The war, the rise, the fall." He looked at her hand. It trembled. "I want to see," he said at last. She reached out and touched his forehead with 2 fingers. The world around him vanished. The vision he was standing on a dead planet. Ash covered the ground. Buildings were broken. Smoke rose from craters. People, alien, human, child, soldier, lay still. Silent. In the sky above, massive warships moved like shadows. The human symbol Earth's old flag burned bright on every hull. And he saw himself older, stronger, colder, wearing dark armor, leading armies, giving orders without emotion. His eyes were empty, and beside him lay Elira's body, broken. Reaching out with her last breath. "Rian," she whispered. "Don't become him." He gasped and fell backward, the vision gone. His chest rose and fell quickly. He looked at her. "I killed you." She nodded slowly. "Yes, but not because you hated me. You thought it was the only way." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "You thought the galaxy needed fear, not love." Rian looked down, hands shaking. "How could I ever become that?" Elira touched his hand. "Because you have power. Because people will follow you. And one day, they'll ask you to lead with strength." She paused. "And you will. Unless someone reminds you who you really are." Suddenly, outside the ruins, the sound of boots echoed. Flashlights moved between the stone walls. The Council's Black Ops unit had found them. Rian grabbed his weapon. "We have to go now." But Alira didn't move. "I'll slow them down." "You run." Rian stared at her. "No. They only want me, Rian. If you leave now, you can disappear." "I'm not leaving you." She smiled sadly. "That's what you said. The first time, too." Tears filled his eyes. "Then I'll say it again." A loud blast shook the wall. Rian stood, placing himself between Alira and the entrance. As the smoke cleared and soldiers rushed in, he raised his weapon, not to kill, but to protect. And in that moment, Alira saw something different in his eyes. Not the cold commander from her past, but the man who chose a new path. She smiled through her tears. "You've already changed." And then her body went limp. She collapsed into his arms. "Alira," he cried, holding her tight. Her breath was shallow, her skin dimming. But just before she slipped into unconsciousness, She whispered his name, Rian, and smiled. Ruin Chamber was quiet now. Commander Rian Hale sat on the floor, holding Illyra gently in his arms. Her breathing was slow. Her skin, once glowing with soft violet light, had dimmed. Dust floated in the air, and cracks in the wall let faint. Rays of starlight inside. She had fainted after whispering his name, but her words, they stayed. You've already changed. Rian looked down at her, unsure of what to do. He felt helpless. She came back through time to save him, and now she was fading. The sound of footsteps outside grew louder. Council soldiers were close. He had no time to waste. He grabbed his field pack, carefully placed Illyra inside the mobile med bed, and activated a stealth cloak over them both. It wouldn't last long, but long enough to escape deeper into the ruins. The ruins were more than just stone and dust. They were ancient technology, hidden beneath time. And Rian remembered what she told him before. These halls were built by those who could see time like water. They recorded everything, even what hasn't happened yet. He had thought she was speaking in riddles, but now he believed her. They reached a sealed chamber, untouched by explorers. Its doors were smooth and silver, covered in markings that pulsed like a heartbeat. As soon as Illyra was placed near them, the door opened, like it recognized her. Inside was a crystal chair, floating slightly above the ground. Rian gently laid her there. Her eyes flickered open. Weak. You found it? She whispered. Rian nodded. What is this place? Illyra's voice was soft. It's where they store visions, memories, possibilities. Then she looked up into his eyes. I want to show you everything. She reached out. Her fingers touched his temple, and the world around him changed again. The vision begins. Rian stood in a vast hall of light. Thousands of images floated around. Hidden futures that hadn't happened yet. Timelines split like rivers, some bright, some dark. In one, he saw himself at peace on a green world, helping rebuild. In another, he saw himself wearing a crown of iron. Ships bowing before him. In one, he never met Illyra, and Earth burned because of it. In another, he saw her die again. In every version where he became a ruler of war, she was always lost. He stepped through the memory space, heart heavy. This is what I saw. Illyra's voice echoed inside. The vision. I watched you become a hero, a savior, a king, a monster, and everything in between. But in the darkest future, you destroyed everything because you thought it was the only way to protect it. Rian dropped to his knees. In the vision, flames surrounded him. Ships fell from the sky. Cities burned. He heard his own voice from the future. Peace is a lie. Only strength can hold the stars together. Illyra's voice returned. That version of you believed love was weakness, that mercy was betrayal, and I died trying to prove him wrong. The vision ended. Rian gasped and fell back, landing. In the crystal chamber, Illyra was still there, watching him quietly. He looked at her with tears in his eyes. I don't want to be that man. She gave a weak smile. Then don't. He took her hand in his. I will choose differently, he said. No matter what it takes. She nodded. You already are. Suddenly, a soft glow rose from the chamber. The ancient walls lit up. Hidden voice, old, alien, mechanical, spoke in a forgotten tongue. Illyra translated with a whisper. Timeline branch realigned. Subject Rian Hall. Deviation confirmed. Probability of collapse reduced. The system had seen his decision. He had changed the future, but it wasn't over. Outside the ruins, the council was still searching, still afraid. And now, Rian was ready, not for war, but for truth and for hope. The ancient chamber was glowing with new light. Commander Rian Hall stood beside the crystal chair, holding Illyra's hand. The room was alive, responding to his choice, acknowledging the path he had turned away from. Behind them, the ruins trembled faintly. Dust fell from the ceiling. The energy within the temple was shifting. Illyra looked stronger now. Her skin glowed brighter, her breath more stable. "You changed the timeline," she whispered, smiling weakly. "The moment you chose to protect. Instead of control, it echoed through time." Rian held her gaze. "Then we still have a chance." She nodded, but her expression became serious. "The council won't stop. They saw the data I brought with me, your potential. They fear you. Now, they'll want to silence both of us." Rian's jaw tightened. They won't get the chance. Outside, near the upper levels of the ruins, black-armored soldiers gathered in silence. Council Commander Lorik Vane, leader of the elite containment unit, raised his hand. "Target is inside. Do not engage until I say. We need the girl alive. The commander, only if necessary." His voice was calm, but his eyes held fear. He had seen the same files. He knew what Rian could become. Inside the ruins, Rian opened a secured communication channel using the ancient tech around him. It pulsed and connected to the human fleet in orbit. The signal was clear. He looked directly into the camera. "This is Commander Rian Hawai. The girl you ordered captured is not your enemy, but you've made your choice. So now, I'm making mine." He paused, then added, "If anyone tries to harm her again, I will not stand down. I will no longer follow orders that protect fear." He shut the channel. Illyra looked at him, shocked. "You just turned your back on Earth's leadership." "I didn't turn my back on Earth," he replied. "I turned my back on its fear." Suddenly, a loud blast rocked the hallway outside. "We're breaching the ruins. The time to run was over." Rian activated the crystal systems. A shield covered the chamber. He turned to Illyra. "I'll buy you time. You need to finish what you came here to do." Illyra stood, her voice firm now. "No, I'm not leaving you again." He smiled. "This time, we stand together." She stepped forward and pressed her forehead against his. "You were the light I saw, even in the darkest future." The wall behind them exploded. Smoke and light poured into the room. Council soldiers entered with weapons raised. Rian stood in front of Illyra, unarmed but unshaken. Commander Lorik stepped through the smoke, eyes locked on Rian. "You've made a mistake," Lorik said. "Disobeying the council is treason." Rian stepped forward. "No, obeying blindly is." Lorik raised his weapon. "I gave you a chance. Now the future you're afraid of might become real." Rian didn't blink. "Only if you keep forcing people to fear change." Then something unexpected happened. Half the soldiers lowered their guns. One of them stepped forward. "I heard your broadcast," he said. "I believe her, and I believe you." A second followed, then a third. Even Lorik hesitated. "What are you doing?" He shouted, but it was too late. Rian's choice had become contagious. The standoff ended without blood. Illyra walked beside Rian as the remaining soldiers stood down. The council's grip had cracked. And the future? It now belonged to those willing to rewrite it. The sun rose over the ruins. Soft golden light touched the broken stones and glowing symbols that had witnessed the birth of a new future. Inside the ancient temple, Commander Rian Hal stood beside Illyra, watching the council's soldiers retreat. That no shots had been fired. No blood had been spilled. Only a decision had been made, a choice that changed everything. In the days that followed, Rian became a symbol, not of war, not of rebellion, but of hope. Soldiers across the human colonies began to question orders. Scientists re-examined what they had called impossible. People talked in whispers that grew louder every day. The future is not fixed. We can still change it. He chose mercy. Rian and Alira hid on a quiet moon-green fields, silver lakes, and skies full of calm stars. It was far from Earth's systems. No satellites, no eyes. Just peace. Here, Alira healed Dot here. Rian learned what it meant to be human again. One quiet evening, Alira sat by the water's edge, her feet in the cool stream. Rian sat beside her, arms resting. On his knees? Do you still see it? He asked gently. She looked at the water. Sometimes, she whispered, flashes, possible futures, some better, some worse. He nodded slowly. And the one where I become that version of me? She shook her head, fading, almost gone. She turned to him, because you made a different choice. You remembered who you are. Suddenly, Rian's old communication device beeped. He picked it up, scanning the code. A private message from someone inside the Human Council. It said, "You were right. Everything's changing. Some of us are listening. Don't give up." He read it aloud, then looked at Alira. "I think the world's finally starting to wake up." She smiled. It only took one decision. That night, under a sky full of stars, Alira stood barefoot in the grass. Looking up, Rian joined her. "Do you regret coming back?" He asked Dot. She didn't answer right away. Then softly she said, "If I hadn't come, you wouldn't have seen what was ahead. And I wouldn't have seen who truly are." She turned to him. "I came to stop a future, but I found something better." Rian stepped closer. "What?" She took his hand. "I found a new one." Next morning, they walked to the top of the tallest hill. From here, they could see the whole valley, shining under morning light. Rian opened a small satellite dish, the last working tech from their ship. He looked at Alira. "Are you ready?" She nodded. He activated the signal. Message broadcast to all human colonies. "This is Commander Rian Hall. We've been told the future is a straight line, that one path leads to power. That mercy is weakness. I believed that once. But now, I know the truth. The future is not given, it is chosen. We can choose peace. We can choose something better. To those who feel trapped by what is expected of them, this is your permission to change everything. And to the girl who showed me the truth, thank you." Somewhere far away, a council official stared at the message. He didn't speak. He simply turned off the screen and smiled. Back on the moon, Alira took a deep breath. "It's happening," she said softly. "Time is healing." And in that moment, something bright rose in the sky. Not a star, not a ship. Just light. The future being rewritten. The end.